All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Serious Angler Podcast, where, as always, our main course for you will be talking and hopefully teaching you more about bass fishing. But of course, that does not come without a distraction or 10 here or there. Whether you're here to learn or just hear some bassin banter, you guys are in the right spot. I'm your host, Bailey Egbrett, and here with me is the bassin captain, Mr. Andy Full, and we are shakenless on this episode. Unfortunately, well, we say unfortunately, he's out there in Arizona getting ready to fish the big BAM Tour Super 60. So he's living lavish. We're here cranking out an episode, but a great one at that. But Andy, what's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. Hoping the boat comes back, but really excited about this episode. It's loaded with a lot of little nuggets that Mr. Browning inserts along the way, all about river fishing and some baits that you might not think about, and other ones that you should have in your arsenal no matter where you fish in the country. So yeah, it's cool to talk to him after his second place finish at the Tom Bigby down there in Mississippi after the flooding conditions and everything. So cool little breakdown, like I said, and tons of nuggets. But other than that, man,
A lot
just
of it.
ready to get the spring going.
Yeah, we haven't had a fishing update from the captain in a minute.
Ugh.
It's
Yeah,
been a
no
little while.
fishing has been done.
No, no, it's
1
sad.
hour here, 1 hour there.
I
Yeah.
know. Let's get some comments in the chat. We got to get Andy in a kayak. Let's see how many we can get to push him to at least get in the kayak in the meantime. But either way, Andy hit the nail on the head. This is going to be an awesome for you guys. A lot of freaking juice that was spilled today in this episode with Mr. Stephen Browning. So definitely make sure you guys are listening, paying close attention to this one. Especially this, I mean, it's a lot of river fishing talk, but you could take a lot of this to the bank of in general of just shallow power fishing, that sort of thing that obviously Stephen Browning is very well versed in and has had a lot of success with. But man, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. We'll get into a little bit of business from the basketball here in a second, but a couple more events in the hopper. Hartwell obviously completed there. We're looking at Lake Fork coming up here soon. MLF on Chickamauga is wrapped up. Like it's peak derb seasons right now, almost halfway through these pro tour schedules. But
Crazy.
it's nice to see things started back up in the north. Things are, as we say, the KVD season is alive and
Heating up.
well.
Yes,
Yeah.
it
Well,
is. Heating
and
up
then down
quick.
south, all our folks down in Texas and Florida and the southeast, like they're looking already at post spawn summer bites starting. It's like try not to rush it, but it's fun. I
Crazy
love the
world.
post spawn. Yeah.
I personally like if I could skip the spawn every year, I would go straight from pre-spawn to post-spawn just because I don't really care too much about chasing fish on bed.
Yeah.
But and I think that's one beautiful thing about Erie and where I'm at and like guiding is the fact that I can almost essentially skip the spawn phase because our fish spawn so long that by the end of May, even this year, we're going to be catching pre-spawners and post-spawners at the same time. So I get
You
very
just keep
lucky in
chasing
that regard.
pre-spawners long enough, and you'll have some posts showing up, so you don't even have to go
Exactly.
chase the spot. Yeah.
Unfortunately, you do have a period where your bite numbers go down. Instead of catching 30, 40, 70, or 80 a day, you might catch 5 to 15, but they're going to be the right ones. And then there'll be a period where all of a sudden you're back to catching 50, 60, 70, 80 again, and they're all post spawners. So it's pretty sweet, that little pattern that we have figured out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. There's some times that I think I enjoy fishing for like a largemouth on a bed every now and then, but I get honestly get pretty tired of it fast. Like I like to do maybe a couple big ones. I like to fish for just because I like that more. I can see you, I can watch you
Like
behave
a cat
type
and
of
mouse
thing.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like to watch if that makes sense. But yeah, I freaking love the summer bite, dude. I mean, I love. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to speed away the spring because the spring is awesome for a reason. That's when our stupid fish are at an all time level of stupidity every year, and that's why we call it the KVD season. But it's the summer bite though is a lot of freaking fun because that's when you break out, the punch in, the frog in, the big worms and stuff like that. It's just something I jive really well with. But it's a good time, and hopefully the folks down the south we're trying to circulate. We've had some people say, "Hey, we would love to do you guys or have you guys do shows on this region, things like that. And we really appreciate that feedback from you guys. Because there's times that we can, unbeknownst to us, we'll hammer, a couple shows on Texas, and then we'll do shows on Florida, and sometimes you neglect the Midwest, and so it's not out of purpose, but we're trying to cover as much in rhythm as best as we can. So any feedback you guys have is much appreciated, and we thoroughly enjoy the emails you guys send, the DMs we get. It means the world to us. But to continue into this episode, because we want to get to Mr. Stephen Browning and give you guys the juice, some business from the bass boat for you guys, and which is always presented by the folks over at Rec Lending. If you guys currently are looking to own a bass boat or RV, the folks at Rec Lending are the folks you got to give a call, because they'll help you best afford one, but also get into it in the right way, in the safest way, and also be able to manage it in the best way possible. They're a family over there, and they'll treat you guys like such. So if you give them a call, tell them the Serious Angler guys sent you. But our business from the bass boat for this show, first and foremost, we got to give basically an applause here. I know it's not new news, but Mr. Skeet Reese announcing his retirement, man. Congrats on a hell of a freaking career.
At the end of the season, so he is fishing out the year. But yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Watch him win another derb.
I hope he
That would
does.
be the exit he needs. It's like KVD. He says he's going to retire. He wins the Chickamauga event and almost wins his very last event that he fishes.
Yeah.
But yeah, and probably the one guy that could keep up with the Kevin Van Dam when they were in their prime. That head to head, one of the best head to heads I think we've ever had, or close to rivalries that we've had in professional bass fishing. And excited to see what Skeet's got coming next. Obviously, saying he's focusing on the new Reese business with rods and reels, things like that. But congrats again, Mr. Skeet Reese. Thank you for everything that you've done and will continue to do in the world of bass fishing. And so with that, we got a couple more things left. And that is, if you guys have not seen, there's some new positionings open up around the fishing industry. Saw some stuff recently posted by the folks at Seagar. I know we've had a lot of folks that reach out to us trying to see if there's positions open in the industry. And I don't know if we've ever mentioned it on this show, but if you are looking to get in the outdoor industry in general, I'm going to link them down below. And let me actually write a note so I don't forget. Is there are two different websites that you guys can go to. I don't know if you know if they exist or not. But they are called outdoorindustryjobs.com is one of them. And then outdoor occupations is the other one. And they have anything from like jobs at Skeeter, jobs at, Camus Boats, jobs at Yamaha, like a bunch of different things listing wise across the board that are in the fishing industry, hunting industry, outdoor industry in general. If you're looking to get into the outdoor space, I'll link those websites down below so you guys can go there. And that's a place where you can basically just upload your resume, kind of like an outdoor LinkedIn, if you will, of job listings. But make sure you check in LinkedIn too, because LinkedIn always has some of those. But I know we've had people ask, so I figured and I wasn't sure if we mentioned those job websites before, but check those out if you're looking to get into the outdoor space. And then lastly, an unfortunate thing that's been happening and people have definitely been seeing across the board is some price increases on products and things of that nature, Andy. And obviously, you've definitely been seeing it from the Lure Lab side. Basically, what we'll say is get it now while
Anything
you can.
tungsten.
Yeah, especially
Specifically anything tungsten.
tungsten, JDM. There might be some things of that nature, but we're not going to get too deep into it because we're not the most knowledgeable on the topic. What we will say is I will also link the show to the Tackle Talk podcast. He did the show on the tariffs with some folks from the industry, kind of giving you guys some insights on what's going to happen. Well, what could happen, I should say. Obviously, we're still all hoping for the best here, but go give that a listen if you're curious to hear more. But while we're talking about deals and saving money, we'll talk about the fine folks at Omnia Fishing and some of the deals that they're having right now. And that is a pretty wicked one. And is if you go and buy Omnia Premium Pro, which as always, there's a code Serious Pro 20 from our deal here that you guys can save 20% off on Premium Pro. But now you're also going to get a $25 gift card and a Rapala and Zoom bundle when you become a pro member.
And a
So
gift
just
card?
when we thought that the freaking pro deal to get couldn't get better, now you're getting free bundles of baits and a $25 gift card.
And money back every time you buy stuff after you sign up.
And
It's
then
tough
you
to
get
beat.
20% off with our code. Like, what more do you people want?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty
Deals
nutty,
on
man.
deals on deals. Just stack them up. Come on. Stack
Yeah.
them up.
Omnia discloses a brand new deal to make Omnia Pro easy, and then it's the meme where it's like Omnia to Omnia says, "Hold my beer. We're gonna make it better."
Yeah. Just Spider-Man pointing at each other.
Pretty much, yeah.
I love
And
it.
looks like they're also doing a buy four get one bladed jigs. Now I have yet to check if this applies to jackhammers, but
I'm
or
not sure on the jackhammers, but I also believe it applies to any swim jig that doesn't have a blade on it as well.
ooh,
Yeah.
let's see. Let's click on the save now page as we're talking through this stuff for you guys to see.
Because I was looking at it briefly. I saw it pop up earlier
Yeah, the
when I first
jackhammers
logged
on there.
on. Ooh, there you go.
Jackhammers
Save
on
that money.
there. The Evos are on there. Looks like just basically every freaking thing on here. Slobber knocker, Picasso tungsten football knocker shock, but that's a long name for a plate. But that's take advantage of that. We'll link all that stuff to Omnia Fishing below. As always, you can use code Serious20, or excuse me, Series 10. Some people probably just got really excited for a second. My bad. Series 10 for 10% off. Sorry about that, folks. Series 20 is to our Hobie Eyewear discount code. We're just plugging everything here. But last but not least, getting into the Fish with Seth Fighter giveaway that's going on Omnia Fishing as well. Pretty easy to get signed up and pretty awesome to go fishing with Seth. But Andy, I think without further ado, let's get on our guest here, Mr. Stephen Browning. To screw things up when we hit it. You still got us, see us, hear us?
I got you. Yes, sir.
Perfect.
All righty, perfect. Andy, you good on your end?
I think so.
Cool. All right. Well, if you're good, Stephen, we'll get started, man.
Sounds good, gentlemen.
Perfect. All right, folks. We're here with Mr. Stephen Browning. Thank you for joining us and taking time out, Stephen.
Thank you guys
Sounds
for
like
having
you
me.
got quite a break till your next derb, man.
Yes, it is. You know, that's the thing. We were real busy back in February, March, April. Kind of hit the skids, hit the brakes a little bit. Now got a little break until now, and the Bassmaster Open up at Chesapeake Bay. I think it's like the 17th, 18th, maybe 16th, 17th, 18th, something like that of July. So looking forward to that one.
Yeah. How you keeping busy? Obviously, I'm sure you're watching your son compete on the elites in between then, but you raining terror on the locals in between now and then?
Well, to be honest with you, about this time of year, all the local tournaments are kind of coming to a halt too. So I've just been fishing. I mean, I've been 2 or 3 times already this week, and probably will continue tomorrow. And then normally I let everybody have it on the weekends. And I like to
Don't
do
blame
most
you.
of the fishing that I do during the week. So yeah, I'm that guy.
So what is like the parity in between like weekday crowds as opposed to weekend crowds where
Oh
you're at?
my gosh, it's like you, around here, central part of Arkansas. I mean, during the weekday, you may see 3 or 4 boats out on the water. On the weekend, you'll see 103. You know, on the water. So it's it just kind of give. I don't. Unfortunately, I don't have a title sponsor this year that wrapped my boat. So nobody really knows who I am while I'm out there fishing. But you can run water and do what you want to do, and it just helps the learning curve for me. When there's not a lot of boats out there on the water, just if you see something that looks good, you go fish it. If you want to try something, forward facing stuff, go do it. So you got the whole lake, whole run of the lake, so to speak.
I always love those stories for the guys that get, either their second boat at home that's not wrapped or whatever it may be, sneaking out so people you don't know who it is because they see you run. They're
Right.
like, hey, that's Stephen Browning right there. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, look,
We
where's he
keep a
go? Let's
little.
go follow him.
Yeah, we keep a little aluminum series boat in the boat dock out here too, so that kind of helps. I've got here in Arkansas, I live in Hot Springs, and we've got Lake Hamilton, Lake Washita, and Lake DeGray that are within 30 minutes of the house. I live on Lake Hamilton, and then you've got the Arkansas River that's about an hour away. You got Nimrod, you got Lake Dardanelle. We've got a lot of water. Grizz Ferry, less than 2 hours away from me. So, it's kind of I kind of fish, fun fish, so to speak, for the lakes that I feel like may be more representative of the lake that I'm going to for a tournament, in pretty close to it.
Hmm.
So they're pretty diverse, allow you to kind of sample some different stuff.
Right.
Nice. Well, it's with that. That's the nice part of, I guess, having that. Whereas other parts of the country, they might be popular in tournaments, but they might not have that diversity. So it's kind of cool to kind of have that up here. We're up here in the north, where Andy and I are at by the Finger Lakes. We got a pretty straightforward list of things we can go do. Granted, we got stupid fish. We'll take
Yes,
that.
you
But
do, and you
yeah,
do.
yeah. But hey,
Yeah.
you mentioned that aluminum. Didn't Ranger just come out with a new aluminum?
They have, yeah, the Alpha 208, and Bo, my son, that's fishing on the Elite Series. He thinks that may be the boat for him next year on the Elite Series. So,
Hmm.
Yeah.
there's several guys that run some of the aluminum series boats from other companies, and yeah, he's been looking hard and heavy at that one. So, we'll probably get our hands on one late summer and play with it and just kind of get the feel of it, see if it's has the capabilities of taking on some of that great big water and long
Yeah.
runs and things of that nature. So it's good. Yeah, it'll be fun.
I guess
That's my kind of fishing too.
that's what I was gonna ask. Like, if you had a choice, like tournaments aside, just fun fishing, would you rather be in aluminum?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I mean, well, I mean, aluminum on certain bodies of water. I mean, like for instance, we were at the Tom Bigby a couple of weeks ago. And that would be been a lot of fun having it there. Being able to access water that you can get to in a fiberglass boat, but it's just so much more efficient. Getting around in that type of water in an aluminum series boat than it is like a big fiberglass boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see how much that alpha hull treads in water, right? Like how high it sits in the water
Right.
as opposed to a fiberglass, because
Right.
I know the big Lund one and a couple of the other ones sit a little bit deeper like fiberglass boats do.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool to see.
But the thing about it is it's it's at how much water does it draft and how the big really and truly the big thing is getting over stuff. You know what I mean? I mean it's like it's not necessarily that you're fishing in shallower water than anybody else because sometimes that place most of the time it doesn't but accessing little backwater places and little hidey holes and things of that nature, that's really where I feel like an aluminum boat comes in more handy than say a fiberglass boat.
A little bit more durable as you're going over logs.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And it's if that log had that piece of rebar in it, it's a whole lot easier to look at a scratch on an aluminum boat than a gouge in a fiberglass boat too.
Facts.
Yeah, it's like the farm truck versus your work truck. It's a
That's
little bit easier.
exactly right. Yeah, the family truck. Yeah, the church truck.
Yeah, that's right. Are you doing some of that kind of like poche winch, putting a winch on your boat type stuff when you're fun fishing?
No. I'm not going to do that because I would end up tearing the boat up or tearing something up. And that man, I'll tell you one thing. I told him this last year before last, man, and people started getting on Poche about what he was doing and the water that he was accessing and the things. Oh, that's not really fair. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, look, dude, you just keep doing you. You let the tournament directors tell you if it's not right. Don't listen to the public. You've got a little niche. You've got to deal where you go find stuff, and he does just a tremendous amount of research. Trying to find these little places, and he's not afraid at all to put that little boat of his in. Some places that I guarantee you, that boat's the only boat that's going to be there.
Yeah, I loved it. So my old job, when we were in a media event up on Lake Champlain, and I got to go out with Poche one of the days, and he brought his little gator tracks up there, and oh my, I didn't even care about the fishing. It was just fun running some of that stuff with him.
Right,
You didn't know if you're gonna die or not, but either way, you were having fun along the way. But
he's not afraid to send it. I can
no,
promise
he's not. That's awesome, man.
You know, when we fished the BPTs together, a lot of those marshals, I mean, they wanted to draw him to be in his boat to see, just to really see what he really does, and I mean, it was a big deal for them to, oh, I got poche tomorrow, I can't wait to see where we go, so
whole different level of preparedness when you go to poach
absolutely,
it for somebody else.
yeah,
You
two
might have to
life
bring a
jackets.
survival blanket with you in case you're trapped in the woods.
Yeah, a little survivor pack, a little snake charmer gun, so,
Yep.
yeah, all the good fun stuff.
Love it.
That's awesome. Well, dude, we're gonna get into a little bit of like river fishing, shallow power fishing with you. But man, this is the first time you're on Serious Angler, and we had this tradition where it's your first time on the show. We start it with a question and end it with the same question or a different question, but for your first time anyway.
Right.
And so to kick things off, we'd love to throw it back to how you even got into this lifelong addiction of fishing. Like who's to blame for this lifelong fishing addiction?
The guy to blame for all this, I would have to say, was whoever ran the Chamber of Commerce in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, back in early '80s. And the reason I say that is they convinced Bassmaster, or Baby Bassmaster, convinced them to have the '84 and '85 Bassmaster Classic there on the Arkansas River in Pine Bluff. And I was like 17 years old and a senior in high school, and had an opportunity to volunteer to help out, and meeting a lot of those guys at that '84 Classic, and really, you know, them, making a living fishing. I mean, I was like, golly bum, man. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but that's when I grow up. That's what I want to be, right there. And I'd been fishing a lot of tournaments, prior to that, for 3 or 4 years, and I had an opportunity to be around Rick Klein, George Cochran, Larry Nixon, Woo Daves. I mean, I could. The list was of the who's of legends in our sport at that event, and it just that just was probably the one single event or circumstance that really inspired me to become a professional angler and just give it a try. I mean, it took me, gosh, man, it took me 12 years to be able to save up some money and vacation time from work and all that to give it a whirl. But I don't know, man. The good Lord blessed me right out of the start, and I've not looked back since. I mean, it's 20. This is 30. I think 30 years of fishing BASS and fishing competitively against the world's best.
Yeah. I love seeing you in the open, almost bringing that one home. That was a pretty crazy finish, and obviously you would have wanted to have a few more ounces and take that dub, but it still was an awesome finish, I think, for you guys. But man, I gotta say though, I have been binging the cup events on YouTube, and
Right.
you are one of the most fun people to watch in those cup events. It's cool to see the wheels turning.
Yeah,
Those are fun.
that those were some of the funnest events that we ever had, just simply because that was all about the man in front of the boat on that trolling motor and that rod and reel in his hand that can figure them out the quickest, the fastest, and be the most efficient on the water any given day. And when I left BASS in 2019, that was one of the reasons I wanted to compete in that format. That back your boat in the water, let's see how good you are today. And I made a lot of those cup events. I really did. And they when they did away with that, I thought that was a product that just showcased an angler's true talents, his instinct. And, I had a lot of fun of those, and listening to guys catching them on the score tracker and doing your thing it made me a better fisherman in the sense that you knew what guys were doing. I say you didn't know what they were doing. You knew if they were catching them or not. And it would make you go, okay, look, man, you got that chatterbait in your hand. I'm pretty sure they're not biting it. You might want to pick up a jig and go flipping and slow fish just for, it just made your mind, you were always thinking,
Yeah.
and that to me really made me a better fisherman over the last 3 or 4 years. And I'm just trying to put it in, put that philosophy into every day out there on the water in the opens now.
Heck yeah. Well, that's perfect. You mentioned that, the might not be biting the chatterbait, so we might want to pick up and flip a little bit. You're laying the perfect groundwork for the conversation we're going to have later in this show. But the last thing I want to say, and Andy, I feel like we're almost a broken record now with saying this, but I think that was some of the most fun events to watch competitive fishing was those cup events. And I wish they made, obviously this is easier said than done, but if they made those live, I think that would have been the best live fishing
Right.
for the viewer.
No
Because the
doubt.
commentary between you guys was awesome too.
Right.
There's some fun banter back and forth. I
Yeah.
was just watching the one where, oh gosh, who was it? Somebody came up because you were crushing in period one. Somebody came over, started rubbing your head to kind of get the mojo.
That was Wesley Strader, probably.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
when we were down in Dallas, and he rubbed it after period one, and I went out period two and didn't do much, and I stood way away from him on that next break. I was like, dude, I don't even go close to you. You just jinxed me last period. And then I get out there in the third period and blast them again, and it was cool stuff.
Those are fun ones to watch, man.
I don't remember correctly, but he caught him in the second period too, didn't he? Or
yes, he did.
Caught him a little better.
Yeah, he got caught back up, or didn't get all the way caught back up, but he was definitely in contention going back out in that last period.
He rubbed the juju out of you
He did rub the juju out of me.
He stole it. That's funny. Well, man, let's start diving into a little bit of river fishing, and because obviously fresh off, second place at Tom Bigby, and that looked, from what we could see as a fan perspective, following you guys along in those events, that looked like a pretty wild system to fish, a diversity of stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And most river fishing is you're dealing with river pools, and it's like little separate bodies of water throughout the course. And the thing about this one, what made it very interesting was, Hank Weldon, our tournament director, I mean, he put places that you would have never gotten to off limits prior to the tournament. I don't know that he did it on purpose. I don't know that, he just put a big playing field into play. I mean, really did. Like one place you could lock like 7 times if you wanted to. Now, there was no way to lock 7 times, make 2 or 3 casts, and get back in time.
People looking though.
If you even caught one. So, he made it a thinking man's game. And I'll be honest with you guys and your listeners, I probably outthought myself. I had a little game plan going into that one that I won't say that it backfired on me. It was one of those deals where if everything would have worked out the way I had it planned as far as hours of fishing in a particular pool, then, there was a chance that it wouldn't have been as close as it was that last day. But sometimes, you have to gamble to win. And I took a pretty good gamble and, unfortunately ended up 8 ounces short.
Yeah. That was, it was a fun finish to watch in that, but yeah, I'm curious from the standpoint of making that game plan, and looking at making this run and the timing that's involved in that. Is that just kind of going off of, practice, whether you're making that run kind of like a walkthrough, if you will, or are you using certain instruments to try to plan out and time manage your day when you're doing it?
No, it was pretty much just using instruments and doing time management to hopefully have enough time to get in an area. And if they weren't biting, you could figure them out. The first day, myself and another gentleman, we locked 3 times up. And number one, it was, a lot of times when we didn't have a full field, but there was a lot of pressure on those on each given pool, and there was only really just a very little really true productive water on any one of those given pools. And my thought process was, let's try to make a long run day one. I was the last boat out, so I had the full day of fishing, and we had a lock schedule, and it was one of those deals where I was going to roll the dice day one and see what happens, and if it didn't work out, then I was going to fall back on B and C. And it was a deal where I just honestly did not have enough fishing time. I had about an hour and 45 minutes, and where I was going, had everything been perfect, I would have had about almost 3.5 hours. But there was a towboat and a barge in one of the chambers, and just took them a little time to get him out. I went in and probably, well, I don't know that I would ever do. I learned a lesson, but I didn't really learn a lesson because it's just one of those deals. Had it worked out and I'd have had a little bit of extra time, I think I would have caught 13 to 15 pounds. I was really going to try to catch 20. And yeah, I mean, it was a deal where it had the potential of 20-pound plus. And I was really shocked that there was another crazy person that was going to lock 3 times too. But the boy that locked with me, he was the same way. He was like, dude, if we can get him fired. And we weren't in the same we were in the same area, but not on the same little backwater ponds. And he told me when we were locking back through, he had 3 big bites on a frog that he never got any of them. But had he got them, he would have had 12, 13 pounds. And I was like, well, I was thinking in my mind a 20-pound day. And if you caught 20 pounds in a tournament like that, that's almost a guaranteed top 10.
Yeah. And a lot of breathing room.
Lots of breathing room. I mean, that's like Russ Lane and Trey Schroeder. I mean, both of them caught 17 the first day. That's almost a guaranteed top 10. You don't have to catch a whole lot. And, sometimes on rivers, I gamble a lot on day one and then just kind of fall back on traditional river style fishing the next 2 days. And I've done that on the Arkansas River at Muskogee, the Red River down at Shreveport. And, I've always had, and the Tom Bigby there, I did the same thing 20 years ago there. And it's always, if you can have a big first day, you're almost guaranteed a top 10. And, sometimes it's worth the gamble, but you can't gamble, so to speak, on going and locking that many times and hoping that they're going to bite. You got to believe they're going to bite. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not like, oh man, I know they live there, I just hadn't figured them out yet. You can't, that's not the time to lock. You have to have them a certain little deal. You can't do a lot of running around. You got to go. You got to throw your trolling motor over. You got to fish as long as you possibly can and hope that they bite in that little short window. And unfortunately, they didn't bite. But it was I didn't want to be driving home and finish in second place and go, dang, boy, I wonder if I would have locked went up there that first day.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong here. Basically, you're making that gamble, hoping to catch 20 pounds, but in your mind, you're like, if I don't catch 20, I'm still going to catch a limit most likely and cut back.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's not an all or nothing deal.
No. It's not an all or nothing deal. It absolutely is not. You've got to catch some when you get there. You can't go up there and goose egg, because then your whole tournament's over with. Could be your season's over with. You have to know 100% fact. When I get there, I'm going to catch me 5. Now, they have the potential of weighing 20, or they may weigh 10 like they did, on me the first day. But had I had another, I'm going to say, if I'd have had another hour to just be able to just breathe just a little bit, and pick something up and try to pick it apart instead of, I picked a chatterbait and a frog up, and that's all I did. And it was just because you had to be moving, you had to be going. But there were some beaver dams and some or beaver huts and some places that I probably should have picked something up and flipped around there and just slowed down. But again, you're the clock's against you and you're trying to catch five, and that's it's a daunting task, but boy, it's a very high risk, high reward, so to speak.
Yeah. So while we're talking about fishing fast, right? Like, how do you break down a river system like that in just a few days of practice in order to find the fish in like such a vast river system to be able to bet on that gamble?
A little bit of it has to do with research, and research being knowing what's coming down the pipe. On that particular one, we had some big rains leading up to that event. I mean, like flash flooding. I knew the river itself was going to be a little muddy when we got there. Generally speaking, if they're muddy on day one, day seven, they're what I call fishable. 3 or 4 inches of visibility, maybe six, and so I did not feel like during practice the main river was going to be the deal, but just simply because it was still a lot of mud. And so I started picking apart some backwaters, and I wanted to kind of get away from everybody. So I knew that in order to do that, you're going to probably have to lock once or twice. And that particular place that I chose, that I started off in, I didn't fish it till I want to say, I don't remember if it was day one or day two of practice. It was day two of practice is when I went over there, and it was a deal. During practice, you can put in on each pool, take out, go to
Mhm.
another one, put in, take out, and go to another one. So that's what I did on day two. But I noticed that there was a couple of backwater lakes that wouldn't get muddy from the river, flow of the river,
Mm.
and they had a lot of vegetation in the back end of it, and that's to me, anytime you can get on a river system that has some type of vegetation, whether it be lily pads, coontail, just anything for those fish to relate to grass wise, then that's when the chatterbait and the frog really shine, and that's what I was looking for on Google Earth before I went there. So that was kind of the places that I
Yeah.
picked apart eyeball wise, and then you had to go and see, get a kind of a taste of it, during practice.
Yeah. Well, for guys that fish like you or that look up to you in your style of fishing, when you're talking about looking on Google Earth, how many hours, if you had to guess,
Oh,
how many hours do you think you're looking at Google Earth before an event like that?
uh, gosh, man, if I just had to throw a number, probably 200 hours. I mean, yeah. I
So when
mean,
the schedule gets released,
it
basically.
starts, but it starts like you know, it starts when the schedule comes out. And I get to looking at everything on Google Earth, and then I just try to keep breaking it down and breaking it down and breaking it down. The best thing that that happened to me when my wife thought she needed a big screen monitor, and I can get in there on her stuff, and I can just, I mean, literally spend 8-10 hours a day just looking at it and just making mental notes. I'll bring my graphs inside, power them up. I've got a little bitty Monster Marine lithium battery, 12-volt battery that I hook my graphs up to, and I'll bring them inside. And as I'm scrolling through Google Earth, I'm trying to figure out where on my map that one is. And then I'll enter some waypoints off of Google Earth onto it and just put different icons on them to say, hey, you got to change, you got to check this, you got to check this. If you have time, you need to go look at this. Sometimes I don't have enough time, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's like people. That's what people don't realize is really and truly to be good at this game. It's a 24/7 deal, man. You got when you go to bed, you got to be thinking about it. When you wake up in the morning, you got to think about it. And if you're not thinking about it throughout the course of the day, you're really not doing your job. And there's so much out here with YouTube and Google Earth and all the resources that we have now. That's the reason, in my opinion, that these younger generations they're so good. I mean, they just have it. at the tip of their fingers, and they utilize it, and that's just making you better every day.
Yeah. I love that.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't
it's
say
something I'm
200
guilty of.
hours. Now that I got to thinking about it, maybe 100 hours would
Well, I
be
mean,
probably a
well, is
bunch.
it 100 hours on each body of water, or is
Right.
it
Oh, no,
200
no.
hours total?
Yeah, no, no. It's on it, honestly, when you look at the schedule, there's always, I'm going to say, two or three that I circle every year, and go, that one right there, guarantee at that time of the year, it will set up to my power style of fishing. Square bill and crankbait, and pitching, flipping. I mean, just really power fishing. And when you circle those, that's the ones that will receive a a I mean a mass amount of time just trying to figure it out. And I mean, honestly, for doing it for 30 years, some of these bodies of waters that we go to, I don't do a lot of, I do a lot of homework at home, but I don't put in that much because I know the area of the lake that fits my style of fishing, and I'm going to go try to find them within that area of the lake.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So, but a river is always changing. That's what makes it fun. I mean, like the two or three places that I caught them in at the Red River when I won in 2013 and 2014, they don't even exist now. I mean, seriously, they don't even exist because they've been silted in, and there's nothing there for a fish to live around. So,
That's crazy.
that's what's fun about river fishing.
Yeah, the river is never the same each time you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's never the same. Yeah. The grass
think-
was there. The grass is gone this year, but
Do you think that, like, for somebody that is going out on a river system, like, don't overthink it? Like, if they're going out for the first time, like, don't overthink it, kind of just fish what's obvious to you, because it changes so much that what you see is what's fresh.
yeah, but the big things about river, in my opinion, is number one is just the first thing that I look at is how much flow is coming down the river. And the reason I do that is that's going to let me know that, yes, they're either out there on the main river or they're going to be in the backwater. And if there's not a lot of flow, that bait fish will get out there in the main river, and the bait fish will relate to main river stuff. A lot of oxygen, a lot of nutrients, a lot of everything coming down the river. So the bait fish will get out there. If it's blown out, heavy, super heavy flow, a lot of times that bait fish will not be out there on the main river itself. They'll be back. It'll be back in the backwaters, and then that's where most of your better quality fish are going to be. There's always fish out on the main lake, the main river, but you want to fish for the majority of the fish. You don't want to fish for the handful of fish, so to speak.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. I love
Heck
that.
yeah.
So, like, if you had to take, I know you mentioned a chatterbait and a frog, but can you add a few more baits in that people should have in their arsenal when river fishing?
Absolutely. Probably one of the best baits that there is just a 4.5 inch flipping tube of some, whatever your choice of brands is whatever. You need a tube, you need a small kind of a compact spinner bait. You got to have a chatterbait. You need a buzz bait / frog, something of that nature, and a square bill crankbait. About 6 baits, man, and you got it covered. And it just seems like a lot of times, those 6 baits, get a lot of love. I mean, I don't know if you guys could see, and maybe some of your listeners and watchers will go back and look at some of that live coverage from that last day. I only had about 6 or 7 rods. I don't even think I had 6 or 7. I think I'm pretty sure I had 6 rods out on the deck. A couple of
It didn't
square,
look like much.
a couple of spinner baits, a flipping tube, and a couple of chatterbaits. And I mean, I just try to keep it as simple as I possibly could, and just rotate through those baits. And sometimes you need, the big thing to me when river fishing is trying to find the right action of the bait. The square bills, you got to have a 2.5 and a 1.5. You have to, and you got to figure out the color. They're either on a shad, a chartreuse type cover, or kind of a red foley. If the water's dingy, muddy, where you got about 4 to 6 inches of visibility, you need something red. I don't care if it's what time of year it is. Don't think red's all about post spawn or pre spawn, and that's malarkey. Don't believe in that. You need a little something with red. You need something white, and chartreuse. Those three right there. And if you can figure out which one they're biting the best, and what I mean by the best is when a lot of times when the sun's out, they'll bite one color. When it gets, cloud cover, they're going to bite another color. You got to kind of rotate through those three colors. They're very basic. And if you can figure that out, they will bite that chatterbait in the white. They'll bite a white square bill, and they'll bite a white spinnerbait. And then when they're not doing that, it's either chartreuse or it's red. Those three colors, and guarantee you. And I always throw a green pumpkin tube. That's just what I've done for
Flipping it, or are we talking like rigged like a normal?
No, flipping it like on a quarter of a 5/16 ounce weight.
So why a flipping tube over like a jig or like some other type of creature bait?
I feel like I've always, and I'll go ahead and throw everybody a little nugget. Throw your rattle up in that tube. There's just something about that tube with a rattle in it that just it gets. I'm just telling you, it'll get 10 times more bites than any other bait that you'll flip. Period. And I've done it. I've done it at, like I said, Muskogee, Oklahoma on the Arkansas River. I've done it at Lake Dardanelle on the Arkansas River. I've done it on the Lower Arkansas River. I've done it at Red River. I've done it at Tom Bigby, any place, Pascagoula River, any place that has river. And it's a true river, not like a dammed up big lake. It's a true river. That it just works. I can't explain it, but I just know it works.
Well, that's a few shows now we've had. Like we just had Fletcher Shryock on, and so you talking about flipping the tube,
right?
Maybe the flipping tube's back, baby.
Well, that's funny. You say that. A lot of things are back. It's just that they've always bid them. Just people quit throwing that kind of stuff, And that's the thing. When people, every year you get these new baits, and everybody wants to do, oh man, this is the deal. This is a deal, and things get put on the back burner. But it always comes true when it comes back out. You go, wow, man, I caught them on the tube the other day. I hadn't thrown a tube in 10 years, and it was like, well, they ain't quit biting it. Y'all just quit throwing it.
Yeah, that's right.
And they don't see a lot of it either, I mean,
right.
So it's a deal, and especially if they make I'll go ahead and give y'all another bone, either a 6 millimeter or a 7 millimeter glass rattle. You just shove it up in there, dude, and it's golden. So,
we're getting some juice out of you, man.
Oh man,
heck yeah. I love that. Well, so every show, Stephen, we have a little segment we call our Amped Outdoors electric take. So Amped Outdoors here at Cirrus Anglers, our preferred lithium battery. And what we like to do with this one, it's a bold question. We love to get a bold answer.
Okay.
And so you've already given us a lot of juice, so we appreciate that. We're gonna try to get one more out of you, and that is, so there are some places like the Tom Bigby where you look at it and it just looks like everything's fishy. It looks like Florida, right? Everything looks good.
Right.
But sometimes you go to these river systems where it's just the same clay bank forever. It's featureless, and it can be kind of, not that there's not fish there, but for somebody that's approaching that, can be kind of, when it looks featureless, it can be a little confusing. So I guess for you, an expert in that field, is what are you looking for when you put on a place like that is a featureless bank? What kind of things are you looking for to try to catch fish?
The one or two little pieces of isolated something, and for instance, like at Muskogee, Oklahoma, that's it's that away. I mean, it will be miles and miles of nothing but riverbank. But if you will take the time to idle that, guarantee you there will be 10 logs from 100 years ago that have washed up there against that bank someplace, or a root wad, or just something that will break the current, hold a fish, something for them just to snug up against. That is, I mean, it is. But you have to use your electronics to find that. You can't just. I mean, you'll waste more time looking for it with a bait than you can with the electronics. Just put your side scan on and take off and go, and mark every one of them.
All right, there you go. Heck yeah. I didn't even think about that. That's a cool aspect of it. And that probably comes down again to Google Earth,
Right,
especially with that
it
history feature.
does. You know, a lot of that stuff, like on Google Earth, if you'll hit the history deal on it, and go back in time to see if you can ever find where that river's just a little bit lower, a little bit higher, or something of that nature. There's a lot of juice there too, but
Yeah.
but people have always said, river fishermen, generally speaking, just they don't even need any electronics. But really and truly, you can utilize electronics, because I mean, like I said, Muskogee, Oklahoma is like the perfect place for that, because it's just long straightaway, bare bank. Nothing looks like bare bank, but there's always those little nuggets, scattered down through there, and that's kind of
Yeah.
what you have to look for.
I wonder how much money Google would have made off of the angling community if they made Google Earth a subscription service.
Oh, a bunch, a bunch. Yes, a
Don't
bunch.
give them any ideas. Google
Yeah,
does
no
make
kidding.
more
Don't
money.
don't do that. Somebody will hear that, and the next thing you know,
All
you
right.
$29.99 a month.
Yeah, it's all right. Only my grandma and my mom listen to this, so they're not going to go buy. It'll be all right.
Oh man.
What we got next lined up, Andy?
I was gonna say, so with Bo being on the elites, obviously, I would assume your goal is to get back there. So, what would be like the plan if both of you ended up being on the elites, like let's say next year?
That it would be the most awesome thing that could probably happen, and twofold. Number one is because I could share, that stage with him, and it would be pretty dang cool. But number two is we could just talk fishing every day.
Mm,
And what I mean by talk fishing is like, I mean, you guys know, all your listeners know how many, what's been going on at BASS and all the other tournament organizations about, people getting information and stuff. I mean, to live in the same household, now that we don't live, he doesn't live with us, but it's
yeah,
just stinking hard to talk fishing without,
Without
giving up too
talking
much, or
fishing.
something. Yeah, just saying something that you shouldn't say. It's horrible. And it would make life a lot easier. I can promise you that.
yeah,
But
yeah. Think
it's,
about that.
that again, going back to my story about leaving BASS, I didn't leave BASS because I was mad at them or anything like that. I just wanted to go check out that other format. I think it's a pretty cool format as far as watching and playing the
Sure.
game. But BASS has the biggest brand in competitive fishing. Always has, always will. And it's fun now to come back and try it. And when they switched it up this year with the 4-4, different two tournaments. I mean, two divisions, 4 tournaments in each one of them,
Yeah.
and then having the 3 EQs at the final. I was kind of hoping that they would stick to the 9 tournaments. I understand why they went the other way, but I wish they would have had a 9 tournament kind of a gauntlet run. But I'm gonna tell you what, guys, man, if you can't appreciate what these kids did that qualified through those 9 events over the last few years, unbelievable.
That was a gauntlet.
I mean, a gauntlet. Unfreaking believable. And the cream just kept rising to the top, rising to the top. And at the end, there was only, 10 or 12 guys that truly had a chance to qualify. And it's just because they never had a bad day. And it's just, it's amazing to watch them. I mean, they just don't have a bad day.
Yeah. If it is a bad day, it's just because they fell to the 50s and not
Right,
the
right,
100s.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
I might have caught 13 pounds instead of 17.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. And that's funny too. You say that, Andy. Back when I was trying to qualify and doing everything, that 13 pounds was a really
Yeah.
good target weight. If you caught 13 pounds a day, 12 to 13 pounds a day, you qualified for every classic and you would end up being in the top 20 in the points every year,
That's
every
crazy.
year.
Yeah.
And now that 13 went to 17, and now that 17 has kind of gone to 19,
Yeah.
So
I was
it's
saying, I
just
remember the
crazy.
5x3 brand, right? Like 15 pounds a day gets you a check every time. And now it's like,
Yes.
if you're not catching 20 pounds a day, you're probably not making a top 10 on most venues, which is
Most of
crazy.
them. Yeah, it has
Yeah.
it's really excelled, and that's a lot of that technology, but a lot of that is the resources that's available too, and better
Mhm.
equipment, better baits, better just targeting fish at different levels. So it's pretty
Yeah.
cool, pretty
Yeah.
stinking cool.
Unless you're on the Sabine River, 13 pounds a day nowadays is pretty much thanks for your donation. We'll see you next year.
Well, I mean, and that's the reason
Yeah.
when they do have those river tournaments, I'm like, yes. And then I hope it
We're
rains
back.
like a haint, 3 or 4 weeks before that to muddy everything. It's just, the conditions on rivers. I've always said that the guys, especially at the elite level, you want to know what lives in your pond? Call them up, invite them down, let them have a tournament because they will show you exactly what lives there. And like on a river system, most river systems, there's only so many 4 pound bass, a lot of 2 pound bass,
Mhm.
very few 4, 5, 6 pound bass to get you to that 13 or 15 pound or 17 pounds. So that's what makes a river fishing for me fun because mentally I did only caught 10 pounds on day one, but mentally I knew I was not out. You go have a good day two, and boom, you jump up. I jumped up 40 something places, or maybe 50 places.
Wow.
After day one, with just one good day of fishing. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I love those type of
Yeah.
tournaments. We don't
Yeah, they're
get
fun
very
to
many
watch,
of them
man.
anymore.
Yeah. Well, dude, we're gonna start wrapping this sucker up here, and we got two things left for you. And one of them, we'll love to ask is, with having such a successful career and still going after it and chasing the elites things now, what's been the from your point of view, the highest high of your career and the lowest low?
If the highest high was probably winning back to back on the Red River in 2013 and 2014. I mean, that was pretty stinking cool. Very few times does a guy is he able to go back and win on a body of water that you just went to the year before,
Mhm.
and that would probably be the highest of high. The lowest of lows really wasn't it was a deal that happened in the '97 Bassmaster Classic. It wasn't a low point at the time because I didn't know the very first cast of the very last day I had the winning fish on, and at the point in time I did not know that. And the thing about it was raining so hard that they couldn't film it, so nobody saw it, but
Mm.
Wow.
myself, my boat official, or really wasn't a boat official, was an outdoor writer at the time, and the camera crew that wasn't running the camera. I mean, everybody. So there was about 5 of us. Everybody saw the fish. I had him on, and I didn't do anything wrong. And I just lost that fish, or I would have won the '97 Classic on Logan Martin. And
Wow.
no, not too many people know that, but that was a pretty bummed out deal. But you think about that, it's like had I won that tournament and won that classic, I don't know that I would. You know how life is. I mean, you don't know that my life would be the same. It wouldn't be the same, definitely. But I definitely would not change not one thing about my life that I have this very day, without catching that fish. I mean, because I would much rather have the life that I have right now than the life that I might would have had I caught that fish. So God works in you. You never know.
All happens for a reason.
So it's like maybe it wasn't Stephen Browning's time. My goal, my number one goal, is to win the Bassmaster, be the oldest guy to ever win the Bassmaster Classic. And I'm at the age now I can finally maybe be able to do that.
They just need it on
Blue
a reference
Days is
system
the
is what it
oldest.
needs to be.
Yeah. What?
Back
I
to
don't even know.
in Pittsburgh. Let's bring it back.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely, man. And I missed it. I missed that one, and that was the one that I would have. Man, that would have been a lot of fun. That one would have been a lot of fun because I mean, it was like that was a true grind of a tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to do some research on how Wu Days was. He's the oldest guy to ever win the Bassmaster Classic, but I want to say he was in his 50s, and I'm 59, so I think I can get him.
We'll clip this for when you do.
There you go. Absolutely.
Yeah. Love
it. Absolutely.
That's awesome, man. Well, dude, like we said at the beginning, we have a question at the beginning and a question at the end that we like to ask everybody. That's their first show on Serious Angler. And our closing question that we asked everybody new is if you could have the opportunity to sit down with 3 different individuals, they could be fishing, they could be non-fishing. It doesn't matter. They could be alive 1,000 years ago or today. Any 3 individuals that you'd pick, sit down, have a steak, have a beer, pick their brain. Who are you going to pick?
Number one would be, well, it would be twofold. It would be, I would like to sit down would have liked to sit down with a Kobe Bryant and a Michael Jordan. I like watching winners, and maybe Tiger Woods as well, because what they brought to the game that they played, to me, elevated the game. And it's I stink at golf. I stink at golf, but I love watching it. I love playing basketball, but I stunk at basketball, but I love watching it. And I love watching the games where the player is playing, because I want to see how he carries himself, and if he gets in a situation where everything's on him, it's on his shoulders, so to speak. A Kobe Bryant making the last shot, a Michael Jordan making the last shot, a Tiger Woods making the last putt. I mean, it's like when that type of athlete has that type of pressure, let's see what he does. Michael Jordan has said, many, many times that those shots that he missed a whole lot more game-winning shots than he made, but missing that shot made him want to get better. Missing that fish made me want to get better, made me think that, hey, man, you might need to sharpen your hooks, or, hey, man, you might need to gamble just a little bit to try to win one. It's like Tiger Woods, hey, I'm going to cut this corner right here. I know if I do, it's going to save me 2 shots, something like that. It just, those type of people just really get me fired up to get out here and stay competing, because I know my body is telling me, hey, dude, you can compete. My mind says, yeah, I can compete out here. I may be a little slower than I was 30 years ago when I started, but I can still compete. And I just would love to have dinner with freaking best of the best,
Yeah. Killer mentality.
Yeah.
Love that, man. Heck yeah. Well, dude, thank you so much for taking time to come on this show. And you dropped a lot of juice, man. You dropped a lot of juice.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Anytime that I'm on there, I'm going to drop some juice, because I just feel like if somebody's going to spend 52 minutes and 15 seconds of listening, that they need to get a nugget. So I love throwing those little nuggets out there, and it's it's pretty cool. I mean, it really is. And then somebody will come up to me somewhere and go, hey, you remember saying that on Serious Angler? And I say, yeah. And they'll go, it works. And I'm like, Yes.
Perfect. So we'll schedule every week, Monday.
Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely. One of these days I'll run out of juice, but I still got a little bit. Still got a
I
little
love
bit.
it, man.
We
Seriously,
got about 1 or 2 weeks left of juice worth, right?
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
well, we're definitely gonna have to get you back on here, man. And I know the viewers and listeners appreciate it, and we greatly appreciate you taking time
Yes,
out.
sir.
So it's
Well, I
awesome, man.
appreciate
And
you guys considering me, and anytime, just you got my number. You guys know how to get a hold of me anytime you got something that you feel like I could participate in. Feel free to call me.
heck yeah, you always got a seat here, man.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
very much.
Awesome, Steven. We'll be talking to you soon, man.
Sounds good. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, folks, and that is going to do it for today's episode with Mr. Steven Browning and Andy. We promised nuggets at the beginning of the show. And I
Lots of
think they were
nuggets.
delivered.
I'll tell you what, like when I first started tournament bass fishing, I flipped a tube a lot, and now that's like coming back into the mainstay. I'm like, man, I need to do that more. I have probably like 30 packs of flipping tubes on my wall that I'm like, all right, I think these are gonna go back in my boat this year.
So I've never really got the flipping tube, but I have the like 100 packs of craw tubes from Big Bite Baits. Like I got
Well,
3 of those
that's
big.
different
Yeah,
in my mind. Those are completely different. Like,
correct. I've
oh,
never done the straight tube.
oh yeah.
So you might need to get out and teach me some of this.
Yeah, I'll give a little nugget away. When I flipped a tube, it was a watermelon chartreuse tail. So it'd be like a double dip, and the tail would have chartreuse on the inside. And up here in the north, we would have a lot of algae. We get a lot of algae blooms in the summertime. And when we're dock fishing, I found I can get bigger than average bites flipping that tube around if somebody was casting a wacky Senko when I was a non-boater and fishing off the back. But there was days I didn't bite it at all, and it's probably because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But yeah, I've caught plenty of fish flipping a tube, and it's fun when they bite it. The only thing I haven't perfected on it is the hook, and we should have asked Mr. Browning
Ooh,
what hook he
yeah.
uses, because when you flip a tube, the hook is the most important thing. It's hard to get a really good hook up.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Where it's like the craw tube's pretty damn easy.
Yeah, because it's so soft and pliable. When you start messing with double dipped and flipping tubes, they tend to be more not durable, but a thicker style plastic that's hard for the hook to penetrate through and really hook them good. So
yeah, we definitely should have asked on that. Well, that's
yeah,
perfect reason to ask him to come on for part 2.
or a lure lab and talk
Or
about
Lure
flipping
Lab,
tube. Yeah,
or
there we
Porque
go.
no los dos.
Yes.
Hopefully you guys appreciated that show. If you're watching on the YouTube side, definitely comment down below if you'd like to see more of Mr. Steven Browning. And if you're on the audio side, leave us a rating and review if you guys have not already. Helps us out tremendously. But great show. Great time with Mr. Steven Browning. We got some more coming your guys' way next week. If you haven't caught the Seriously Western segment, that was this past on Monday. Make sure you guys check that out. Looks like a potential state record out of Oregon. And then next episode, we'll have a nice real biology for you guys coming up hot on Monday. But Andy, anything else for the folks before we tune this sucker out?
No, just I'm living vicariously through everyone's fish catches. So just keep posting them and catching fish. It's kind of cool to see. It sucks that I'm not able to at the moment, but that's going to change real soon.
So Andy's saying politely is he has serious FOMO and make it worse by tagging him in all your fish pictures.
Pretty much. Bailey's doing to me what I've done to him for the last couple of years. So it's been great.
Oh, the tables have turned. You'll be out there in no time, buddy. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
But, folks, appreciate y'all as always, and we'll see you on the next one.